The storm Ophelia has currently sustained winds of 70 miles an hour. It is currently just off of Cape Lookout, North Carolina, and it will make landfall later tonight and by tomorrow, most likely. And if we look at its movement, it's going to be moving north into North Carolina, Virginia, and then moving into the Delmarva and Pennsylvania, New Jersey region. So this is going to impact a whole lot of areas. If you notice here, the tropical storm watches extend from Cape Fear all the way up to the Delaware, Maryland border along the Atlantic coastline. If you look closely, you actually have hurricane watches up here from somewhere just to the east of Cape Fear towards the Outer Banks. And the reason for this is actually Ophelia has had some unexpected strengthening today, especially in the evening hours. It was only forecast to be a 60-mile-an-hour storm at landfall. Currently, it's 70 mile an hour. If we look at the Morehead City radar, we can see a defined center of rotation around here. It's pretty broad, but again, it is defined. You see heavy rain is ongoing across the area. And if we look at the RTMA analysis, we can see that clearly we have the center of rotation just as the radar is showing off the coast currently. Strong winds along with the center, 60 mile an hour at least, and based off the National Hurricane Center, 70 mile an hour winds somewhere in there. Sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles an hour, even inland in North Carolina, along the coast, definitely tropical storm conditions. And we look at the satellite. I think one thing that has been major in Ophelia strengthening is this convective burst over here, right over the center. We have a central dense overcast type structure. This storm is really lopsided because again, this formed off of a stalled front pretty much, and these storms don't really tend to get very organized. But we can see it does have a central dense overcast because if you look at the low level clouds, you can see how they're rotating over here. Earlier in the day before this thing, we could see that eye clearly, but now we have a central dense overcast over it, meaning it's strengthening. And you can see that very clearly in the lightning, the geostationary lightning vapor, right there. You see that convective burst? That was the burst that probably made it strengthen. So now let's moving on to the forecast for the storm. If we look at the Air Force's data, they were in there actually. Was it the Air Force and NOAA? Yeah, the Air Force was in this. Look over here between around a little bit before 19Z and 17Z, they were the lowest. They would have the better wind structure in the storm. They would be more accurate. During that time, when they made a pass, they got winds of just above 60 knots, and that is exactly why the National Hurricane Center has put that in intensity at 70 miles an hour after extrapolating it. If we look at the blue line later, right? 60 knots over here when they made the second pass. Actually, that was my bad. I was looking at the flight level wind over here, but over here, this is where they found the 60 knot surface winds extrapolated. Now moving on to the track. So you already saw the official forecast cone. It's saying it's going to move into the southeastern Pennsylvania area. One thing that is a little bit uncertain right now, which is actually going to be a big key factor in the amount of rain that happens, basically pretty much central Jersey into eastern Pennsylvania, southern New York, is the track of the storm. So if you look at the official and maybe a few other models, it's taking them into Pennsylvania and continuing sort of like this, right? But a lot of the other models, especially the hurricane models, which actually I don't really want to trust the hurricane models very much in this case because this storm is honestly it is a tropical storm. It does have the tropical characteristics, but it's going to feel like a really big nor'easter with some tropical moisture associated with it. If you look at them, they're just curving it over Delaware. It's going to be really an idea of how fast, if we look at our analysis from 12Z 300 millibar winds, the storm is over here. Basically, how fast can this trough pick it up and just throw it out? Pretty much is the question. If you look at it, it should be just curving like the NHD is saying, but some models are saying otherwise. Moving on to the winds now. So if we look at the winds from the HRRR, this is the 18Z HRRR. Currently, we can see 999 millibar low pressure, which actually currently it is what 986, 987 or something like that. Let's look at OOZ. Yeah, it's deeper, it's stronger than it was forecast, obviously. So that might play into the factor how strong wind gets inland in the Carolinas, maybe stronger than what's being forecast by these models. So again, listen to the NHC, listen to your local officials. And across the day, actually, here in New Jersey, the winds have actually been picking up. I could tell easily that the winds are picking up. Um, Now let's move on to Saturday. Saturday is going to be the real windy day, I would say, across the Mid-Atlantic into the New Jersey and Pennsylvania area. If you look, there's going to be Delaware. There's going to be areas of 20 knot sustained winds greater than that. Even inland in North Carolina, the center of the storm producing some strong winds. Offshore is going to be the winds are going to be ripping. And there's going to be massive waves out there, 15 to 20 foot waves, just off the coast. Um, we look at winds in New Jersey, even far inland, 20 knot winds could potentially be there. In southeast Pennsylvania, same thing, same story. And pretty much basically, I would say Saturday morning through through late Saturday, like night, pretty much moving into early morning hours Sunday. It's gonna be very windy, and Sunday it will be less windy, but it still will be windy across Maryland through New Jersey, because the system is gonna be moving towards there. Again, the main question is, where is the center of this go? Does it kind of go like this, or does it go more of like that? That's gonna be a big determining factor about the rainfall. So wind-wise, we have pretty good agreement. The NAM is actually saying pretty similar things wind-wise. If we could get this load up. The NAM, again, I mean, like, it's not really the best, like, wind forecast kind of thing, because, like, I mean, it's kind of nailed the pressure, actually, here. Nailed the pressure in the winds, actually. Because the NAM, it overstrengthens tropical cyclones, but actually it's nailed the forecast here because of that unexpected strengthening. Um, so if we look at the winds, at least it does have quite a larger area of stronger winds across Carolina, that across North Carolina once it moves on. But still, the I would say the winds are a little bit stronger than them, but still pretty good agreement in the winds. I would say the biggest question we have with Ophelia is the amount of rainfall it produces across the mid-Atlantic. So just real quick, look at some gusts at 2 p.m. Saturday across New Jersey. Um, I generated this with NASA's Panoply data viewer. And this is the HRRR 18Z wind gusts at 18Z Saturday, which is 2 p.m. Saturday Eastern. We can see all along the coast greater than 50-mile-an-hour gusts. There's high wind warnings up for the coast down to Cape May. Even inland, we get 40-mile-an-hour plus gusts easily in places. This isn't even at the windiest time, so I'm just giving you an idea of what the gusts are going to look like. This is an AM 3 kilometer at the same time, 18Z run. This is a bit more widespread with those stronger winds. But again, I mean, like, it's the NAM. The NAM is pretty biased towards stronger cyclones, but still, I think this is still showing some pretty solid agreement with winds, I would say. Now let's move on to the rainfall. The rainfall is the biggest question here by far. So let's look at the HRRR through 48 hours. All right. We don't have the we'll have to wait for the OOZ run to see if it changes anything, which should come within an hour. But if we just look at the amount of rain, we can see even 18Z Sunday, 2 p.m. Sunday, there's still some rain ongoing. But what I will say is that the further inland this gets, well, I'm supposed to be looking at precipitation. The further inland this storm gets, the longer it stays inland, the more widespread the rain is gonna be. So what I can say with like complete confidence is that there's gonna be some very, very heavy rain between Cape Fear and Cape Lookout inland. Is gonna be some very heavy rain. HRRR putting at 8 inches in areas, 8.5 inches, and even up through Virginia, widespread 2 or 3 inches areas of greater than 5. And then we look at New Jersey here, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York. So what I will say is the coast has definitely the highest chance of getting like higher amounts of rain, because say the storm tracks like this, right? It goes out like that. Still, the center of the storm is going to be passing near to these coastline areas, so they're still going to be getting some heavy rain. But then the areas to the north of that, they get way less rain. You can see, look at that sharp gradient. Southern Jersey, 6 inches, 6.4 inches. High Point, 0.8 inches. Somerset, Hunterdon County area, half an inch, which would be barely anything. Now let's go to the NAM. Let's look at 48 hours first, and then we'll look at the entire 60 hours it has to offer us. Let's look at the total precipitation through this area. And clearly you can see the low pressure is where the NHC is forecasting it around compared to where the HRRR had it, maybe around there. All right, if this would just load up. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Look at that. 3 inches, 3.78, because that low is tracking over here. Remember? Widespread 2 to 3 inches all across New Jersey, the entirety of New Jersey. 5 inches along the coastline. And again, what I was telling you, this is the guaranteed thing. Between, actually, the NAM is being a little bit more bullish with this wider area of rain. But I will say the bullseye for rain should be in between Cape Lookout, Cape Fear, somewhere inland, or even along the coast. That should be the bullseye. Not sure why the NAM is being so bullish with this. Probably it's over strengthening, as it always does that. But again, the main idea is if this low tracks over here, I'm just showing you the NAM 3 kilometer, but the NAM is also showing this lower resolution NAM and the NHC and the WPC. I'll show you the WPC's expected precipitation. If the low tracks inland, if it sort of comes this way, like that, right? Then places southern New York, eastern Pennsylvania, all of New Jersey is going to get a whole lot more rain. And if we get that track that is more of this, where it just goes out to sea as soon as it gets towards the Delmarva in southern New Jersey, then eastern Pennsylvania, central northern Jersey, southern New York, and way less rain. Let's just look at the full 60 hours off the NAM and see how much rain actually falls. Yeah, basically, even up to the Catskills at that point, it's saying 8 inches because of the orographic lifting. This is definitely exaggerated. The NAM is a very exaggerative model, but still, that just paints the idea of where the low tracks is going to depend on how much it rains. So that's something probably we'll be able to resolve by tomorrow. And I would say just listen to the National Hurricane Center and Weather Prediction Center. They probably know what they are doing. And I'm not probably, they know what they're doing. 72-hour precipitation forecast kind of falls in line with that in more inland track. Again, what I was saying, Cape Fear, Cape Lookout, somewhere along the coast inland, bullseye. Again, across Virginia, some more rain. Jersey coast is probably going to be the highest amount of rain in Jersey. And look at the WPC through southern New York, through eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the widespread 2 to 3 inches. So we should probably be looking at the more inland track, but again, the out to sea track is also possible. So we have to be watching for that. So again, once more, Ophelia is going to make landfall somewhere between now and tomorrow morning. It might make even tomorrow late evening. It should make landfall soon. And after landfall, it will still remain as a strong storm that can bring many impacts, including heavy rain and gusty winds. And yeah, so let's see what happens now.